Tirititi. Vamos allá. Salud. El suceso de A-Bay Grande.
The game is afoot. Not a word. Into your clothes and come. I'll wait for you in the sitting room. I've just received a note from Inspector Lestrade. A letter from the suburbs. He is in need of my presence. Whenever he has asked for my assistance, it has always turned out to be entirely justified. I fancy that every one of his cases has found its way into your collection.
Yes, they all seem worthy of...
However, I regret your fatal habit of looking at everything from the point of view of a story instead of a scientific exercise.
Oh, Holmes, you...
I beg your pardon, I digress. It would be much better to examine this letter than to try to convince you.
Voy a decirlo a mi perrito. A ver. ¿Qué nos hemos llevado del otro? ¿Acaso la daga? De plata. Hola, Toby.
I agree with you, Toby, that Watson's shoe...
The letter is on the table, Holmes. You should take a look.
Cállate. Necesito un correo.
This is where I keep my post.
No.
The letter is on the table, Holmes. You should take a look.
¿En qué mesa?
The letter is on the table.
Sí.
The letter is on the table.
Ah, aquí hay otra mesa.
You should take...
Coge. Baker Street.
I can tell from Lestrade's handwriting that he was in a hurry when he wrote this letter. A wax seal with the monogram E.B. The Brackenstall family coat of arms.
Abbey Grange, Marsham, Kent. Mi querido señor Holmes, me gustaría mucho poder contar cuanto antes con su ayuda en lo que promete ser un caso de lo más extraordinario. Parece que entra de lleno en su especialidad. Aparte de dejar libre a la señora, procuraré que todo se mantenga exactamente como lo encontré, pero le ruego que no pierda un instante porque es difícil dejar aquí a Sir Eustace. Le saluda atentamente el inspector Lestrade.
So, what is it, Holmes?
Promising, as always. It appears to be a case of murder.
So you believe that Sir Eustace is dead?
I should say so. Lestrade wouldn't have sent for me for less. His writing shows considerable agitation, and he is not an emotional man. These people belong to high society. The quality of the writing paper, the EB monogram, their coat of arms. The crime was committed before midnight.
Holmes, how can you possibly tell?
Well, it is all thanks to Lestrade. He wrote his letter at 3:30 in the morning. Imagine the chain of events before that. The local police had to be called in. Scotland Yard was notified. Lestrade himself had to make haste there, and finally compose the letter he sent to me. All of that makes for a fair night's work.
It makes sense. Lestrade also speaks of the woman he released.
That seems to indicate that she had been held somewhere during the crime. Much time has been wasted. Let us find a cab and go to Abbey Grange immediately. I live in hope of an interesting morning.
Ah, Mr. Holmes and Dr. Watson, here you are. I'm very glad that you have come, but perhaps I should not have troubled you after all.
And why is that?
Lady Brackenstall has come to her senses, and she has given so clear an account of the affair that there is not much left for us to do. You remember that Lewisham gang of burglars?
What, the three Randalls?
Exactly. The father and two sons. It's their work. They stole a silver service, which is of great value.
Sir Eustace Brackenstall is dead, then?
Yes. His head was knocked in with his own poker.
A violent act of aggression.
Yes, the poor lady. She has had a most dreadful experience. She was assaulted and tied to a chair. But I think that you would best see her and hear her account of the facts. She's in the morning room with her maid to raise a right.
Where is the body of the deceased?
In the dining room. We haven't touched anything.
All right, I'm going to examine it.
Very good, Watson.
A ver. Estoy buscando una cosa. Este. Aquí. Ya. Examina la habitación donde está descansando Lady Tal. Brackenstall.
Lord Ramsay Brackenstall. Baron Lyndon Brackenstall. Lord Brigham Brackenstall. Sir Warthen Brackenstall. Ladies, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Sherlock Holmes. I'm assisting Inspector Lestrade in this investigation.
Mr. Holmes, I am the wife of Sir Eustace Brackenstall. We were married only a year ago.
I am sorry for your loss. Please accept my deepest condolences.
I suppose that it is no use my attempting to conceal that our marriage has not been a happy one. I fear that all would tell you that, even if I were to attempt to deny it.
Broche de oro, canguro y emú, origen italiano. Vestido elegante. Cardenales viejos. Alianza.
Can you describe to me the events of yesterday evening?
Is it really necessary? I have already told Inspector Lestrade all that happened.
Yes, madam, it is.
I will tell you then. Sir Eustace retired about 10:30. I sat in this room until after 11, absorbed in a book. Before I went upstairs, I entered the dining room to fetch a candle and... oh God.
Please, go on.
As I approached the French window, I found myself face to face with an elderly, broad-shouldered man who had just stepped into the room. Close behind the first man, I saw two others. One of them struck me a savage blow with his fist and felled me unconscious to the ground.
And then?
When I came to myself, I found that they had secured me tightly to a dining room chair. It was at that instant my unfortunate husband entered the room.
He fought with the intruders?
Yes, I think he had heard them, for he was holding his stick. But they were three, and he eventually succumbed. One of them, the elder one, struck him a terrible blow with the poker. I fainted once more. When I opened my eyes, they had withdrawn. Then my brave Teresa came to my assistance.
Did these three villains steal anything?
Yes, I found that they had taken the silver from the sideboard, but you can see for yourself in the dining room.
You mentioned that your marriage was not a happy one. Was there anything specific that was troubling you?
He was not a nice man when he was drunk, and he suffered from dark moods, but nothing else.
The bruises on your hands are at least 1 week old. Your husband caused those bruises?
Oh, do you? Yes, he did. He was very angry at the time. Out of control. Again. Sir Eustace was a drunkard. To be tied to such a man for life is worse than death.
Vaya.
Your ladyship?
Voy a hablar con ella también.
Teresa, I would like to hear your testimony.
Certainly, sir.
Arrugas de mediana edad. Uy. Cariñosa. Manos castigadas. Mancha de café.
As I sat by my bedroom window, I saw 3 men in the moonlight down by the lodge gate. But I thought nothing of it at the time. Oh, if I'd known.
And then?
I went to bed, and it was more than an hour after that I heard my mistress scream. And down I ran, to find her tied to the chair and him on the floor with his head smashed. That's all I know.
These scratches are most definitely made by the picture frame. This is Sir Eustace's safe. There may be something important inside. I must ask Lady Brackenstall to open it.
Vale.
This is Sir
Ahí.
Eustace's safe. There
Oye.
may be something important. This photograph of Lady Brackenstall and her maid Teresa was taken at a port, but which one?
A ver, por aquí. Vamos ahí a abrirlo.
So the
Anda,
lady and
en
her maid
Gibraltar.
came from Australia a year and a half ago on this ship.
¡Uy! Le ha robado la foto. Qué sinvergüenza. Otra mesa. El Times. Floreciente negocio familiar. La banda de los Randalls está de vuelta. ¡Puf! Melvin, William y Jack. No me lo voy a leer entero. Carrera en la
The
piratería.
description of the Randall gang provided by Lady Brackenstall is identical to the one in the Times article.
A ver. El robo fue fingido y se inventó toda una historia para inculpar a los Randall en la muerte de Sir Eustace. La banda de los Randall, los testimonios y las pruebas recuerdan apuntar. De momento eso.
Lady Brackenstall, could you open this wall safe?
No, it is my husband's safe. I do not know the combination.
We have to open it. Your
Me va-
ladyship?
¿Me va a tocar forzarla?
Let us try to open this safe. This safe can be cracked. I only have to pay attention. The dial will vibrate when it is set to the correct number.
Ahí. Pues era el 2. Ah, espera. ¿Por qué no? Ajá. Ahí. Joder. ¿Qué hay aquí? Dineros.
It is common practice to keep one's valuables in a safe behind a painting. It should not really pose a challenge for a criminal. Antique coins, possibly of value, but they're scattered without care.
Sirius Tace. Su actual estado físico-mental es muy preocupante. Muestra graves signos de descompensación hepárica. La última vez que le visité, sus ojos estaban inyectados en sangre y su piel tenía un color amarillento. El particular olor que despide su aliento es muy común en las personas que sufren del hígado. Además, sufre de los accesos en los pulmones que ya hemos discutido. A ver, oiga, ahí. Los calambres en las piernas los causa una alteración del sistema nervioso que a su vez está causada por el exceso de alcohol. Lo mismo con los temblores. Su hígado está muy rígido la última vez que lo examiné. Signo de que su cirrosis empeora. También muestra síntomas de ascitis, fluido en la cavidad peritoneal. A juzgar por su vientre hinchado, el dolor bajo su costado izquierdo indica una dolencia pancreática, que puede derivar en una mortal pancreatitis fulminante. Su estado puede suponer peligro para otras personas. El consumo excesivo del alcohol rebaja su autocontrol y aumenta su agresividad. Estoy a su disposición para asistirle con este problema. Existen distintos tratamientos que podemos aplicar.
Oh, what a horrible thing to have happened.
The body is still in the dining room where the murder took place.
You should examine the body of Sir Eustace Brackenstall.
Tengo que examinar todo.
The hunting scene.
Fusiles.
Antique hunting weapons.
Yo voy en orden.
A bottle of wine is missing here. These wine bottles are expensive and mostly from France. An empty silverware box. It appears that the intruders have stolen the contents. This candlestick is valuable. It is interesting that it was not also stolen. The criminals did not thoroughly ransack the house. They only took a little silverware. The hunting scene. A deer hunt. This door leads to the upstairs bedrooms. Apparently the criminals did not venture there. A decanter standing next to the open bottle, an inseparable pair indeed. Chateau Calon Ségur, French wine, Grand Cru. This glass has some wine traces, but no visible beeswing. There is beeswing at the bottom, as if the wine had not been decanted before being poured. This glass has some wine traces, but no visible beeswing. It is rather strange that only one of these glasses has dregs of beeswing inside it, while the other two are clear.
Qué raro.
So, Watson, what have you learned from examining Sir Eustace's body?
Well, I can confirm that the death was instant. Sir Eustace was facing his attacker when he received the blow to his head. There are no other apparent injuries.
The head was cracked with the force of the blow. That must be the murder weapon. Barefoot, he had therefore been in bed and did not have time to fully dress. Quite a large stick, a formidable weapon. It is covered in blood. Sir Eustace might have struck his head upon it while falling from the blow. That is one possible explanation.
¿Qué pasa, perrín? Hubo 3 personas bebiendo de 3 copas. Una de las 3 ha de preferir vino con pozos. Hubo 2 personas bebiendo de 3 copas. La copa de sobra contenía los pozos de las otras 2. No sé. No, tiene que ser 3. Porque si no, no son compatibles. La muerte de eso... Pues, accidente mortal. La muerte de Sir Eustace pudo deberse a un golpe accidental con la rejilla de la chimenea. Golpe con el atizador. La muerte pudo deberse a un golpe con el atizador. Pues ahí están todas unidas las posibles. Examinar la escena del crimen en el comedor. Me falta algo entonces. Ahí, repisa.
It appears that the bell rope was cut by someone taller than me.
Huh.
A fur trader's cabin.
¿Qué me falta aquí?
The death was instant.
Voy a ver, tengo que hablar con la mujer.
3 glasses on the dining room table. I was wondering if...
Oh, I forgot. When I came to myself the first time, each of them had a glass in his hand. They might have been a father and his 2 sons. They talked together in whispers, and then they left.
Your ladyship?
Con este. Sí.
What do you know about Sir Eustace, Inspector? What was his reputation?
A charming man when sober, but an absolute demon when he was drunk. In such moments he was apparently capable of anything. Why, once he splashed fuel on Lady Brackenstall's dog and set it alight. Another day he threw a decanter of wine at Miss Wright's head.
The alcohol seemed to madden him.
To the point that we were forced to intervene several times to avoid a scandal.
Vale, aquí me sigue faltando algo.
A fur trader's cabin.
Voy a hablar con la criada, eso.
Sir Eustace's doctor speaks of his violent behaviour.
Yes, Sir Eustace was an extremely violent man. A detestable human being, to be more precise. It is true that he once threw a decanter at me, and all because I dared to stand up to him in defence of my mistress. Sly devil. God forgive me that I should speak of him so now that he's dead, but a devil he was, if ever one walked the earth. We met him only 18 months ago. She'd only just arrived in London. Yes, it was her first voyage. She'd never been from home before. Wonder with his title and his money and his false London ways. If she made a mistake, she has paid for it, if ever a woman did. She doesn't have any friends here, so it was especially hard for her.
Y no sé qué es.
This house feels rather sinister. I can't say that I like it here.
A hunter scene.
Oh. Eso no se puede abrir. Eso tampoco. Es que ya estamos dando vueltas porque me falta algo. ¿Qué me falta aquí? Oh, aquí. Joder.
Sailor's knots. That's interesting. This rope was handled by the murderers. We need a scent hound to follow their trail. I will take it with me.
Ay. Sin conocidos. Lady Brackenstall se casó con Sir Eustace poco después de llegar a Inglaterra y permaneció en casa durante ese tiempo. Es poco probable que ella o su doncella conocieran a alguien en el país. Conocida de un marinero. Lady Brackenstall conoce a alguien del Rock of Gibraltar.
This is the chair that Lady Brackenstall was tied to.
Ahora. Joder, si he pasado 40 veces por delante. Recoger a Toby en Baker Street para que siga el rastro. ¡Qué mono! ¿Qué pasa, Kai? Yo tengo mi propio Toby. Aunque no sé yo lo de rastros. Si este persigo rastros, sí. ¿Dónde está el perrito? Ah, está aquí, perrito. ¿Tengo cartas? No. Hola, perrito.
Come on, Toby. We need the best nose in the British Empire on this case.
Míralo ahí a mi lado, qué majo.
Search, Toby.
¿Qué pasa, caicitos?
The intruders entered the shed for some reason when they were making off with the silverware. The scent leads to the well. I should check it. The intruder's trail is lost behind this wall. The criminals left the house through the French window. They walked to the shed, then across to the well, before fleeing by climbing over the wall. I wonder why they chose such a winding route.
Pues vamos a entrar en el cobertizo.
This hook might be useful. This old suitcase sounds hollow. It must be empty. Small gardening tools, nothing of great interest. Bags of seed. Some empty bags were recently moved. There's something glittering at the bottom there, but how can I reach it? Silverware. This is hardly a coincidence. The Brackenstall coat of arms. It appears that we have found the stolen silverware. The intruder's trail is lost behind this wall. Brave Toby, the best nose in the British Empire.
Vale, pues habrá que hablar con la señora.
We found your silverware, Lady Brackenstall. It had not been taken very far.
Is that true? I am very thankful to you, Mr. Holmes.
Your ladyship? We found your mistress's silverware.
Oh, that's good news. You really are as clever as they say.
Indeed.
Y ahora el señor este también.
Inspector, I have recovered the stolen silverware.
You are a wizard, Mr. Holmes. And where is it?
In the garden well.
Excuse me?
Unique, isn't it?
Rather absurd. What is the point of stealing silverware and then throwing it down into a well?
Perhaps it was used as a temporary hiding place, or simply the thieves wanted to get rid of it. It is up to us to solve this mystery.
Vámonos a Baker Street.
Let us see how the rope was cut. The fibers at the end of the rope are smoothly cut. Let us try to find out what tool was used to cut the rope. The fibers from this cut appear to be different. If I cut the rope with a knife, it matches the original.
Historial marinero. El cordón fue cortado con un cuchillo marinero y atado con nudos marineros. Eso puede indicar que el intruso tiene historial como marinero. El motivo es el robo. El robo se ha confirmado como motivo del crimen. Los criminales podrían volver a... No, el robo pudo haberse fingido para explicar la muerte. Se suponía que la plata no sería hallada. Yo creo que es un robo fingido. No, pues es... Para que coincida con eso tiene que ser así. Y se une. Los Randalls son culpables. No. Yo sigo con la investigación. Porque aquí no hemos terminado. ¿No? ¿Ya está? ¿Este es corto? ¿No hay nada más? No. No estoy de acuerdo con esto. Vamos a ver. Voy a cambiar esto. Fue asesinado por una persona que estaba de visita esa noche. Fue él quien mató a él. Es alto y fuerte. Buscar un marinero. La persona que estaba de visita esa noche era probablemente un marinero. ¡Ja! Buscar posibles marineros sospechosos. Creo que toca hablar con el crío. No. Es como busco marineros. ¿En los archivos? Rock of Gibraltar. 1893. La llegada de Rock of Gibraltar, el regreso de un avión. Rock of Gibraltar, un carguero de la línea Adelaide, Southampton, Londres, edificio Cunard, James Street, Londres, ha vuelto de su viaje de 6 meses con escala en la India, Nueva Zelanda y Australia. El buque transportaba a Inglaterra a la señorita Mary Fraser, heredera de la familia Fraser, propietaria de tierras y minas de estaño en Australia. Esta joven dama, de gran belleza, según nos consta, está comprometida con Sir Eustace Blackstone, uno de los hombres más adinerados de que...
Here it is.
Ella también tiene dinero. Trabajo para
The shipping
Piki.
company, the Adelaide, Southampton, London line, and its address. Interesting. It must be the place where they keep the records, including the one for the crew of the Rock of Gibraltar.
I think that if you pretend you're from Scotland Yard, they'll give it to you without any problems.
But I have another solution. I'll call in the specialist.
Trabajo para Wiggins.
Wiggins, could you come upstairs, please?
At your service, Mr. Holmes.
I need a register, my young friend. If you could borrow it, there will be half a guinea for every one of you. I need the crew list of the Rock of Gibraltar in 1893, and their current employment.
I'm straight on it, Mr. Holmes.
Do you really think they'll find it, Holmes?
My secret police is better than the Yard in many ways.
Here it is, Mr. Holmes. But we can't take it back. It's too risky.
Put it on the table. I'll take care of it. Good work, young Wiggins.
I left it right on the table for you, sir.
This list shows the senior officers of the Rock of Gibraltar, on which Lady Brackenstall and her maid made their voyage. Lady Brackenstall does not know anyone in England. This must mean that someone on this list is our mysterious visitor. And these are the lists of the senior officers of the Adelaide, Southampton, London Line ships. Let us find out who was in London upon November the 7th.
Este no. Este tampoco. Salida el 10 de noviembre. O sea, aquí. Este. Este tampoco.
This list shows the senior officers of the Rock of Gibraltar, on which This list shows the senior officers of the Rock of Gibraltar, on which Lady Brackenstall and her maid made their voyage. Lady Brackenstall does not know anyone in England. This must mean that someone on this list
Es el
is
único
our
nombre.
mysterious visitor.
Joder.
Mr. Jack Crocker was in London upon the date of the crime, and he is due to depart in 2 days. This list shows the senior officers of the Rock of Gibraltar, on which Lady Brackenstall and her maid made their voyage. Lady Brackenstall does not know anyone in England. This must mean that someone... This officer is still at sea, therefore he cannot be involved.
Vale.
This officer is still at sea, therefore he cannot be involved. I do not think that this sailor has any connection to the case. I do not think that this sailor has any connection to the case. I do not think that this... I do not think that this officer is still at sea, therefore he cannot be involved. This officer was on a ship that sailed half a month ago. He wasn't in London at the time of the crime. This officer was on a ship that sailed half a month ago. He wasn't in London at the time of the crime.
El Thomas Walker este. Okay.
This Captain Jack Crocker is our mysterious visitor. He was the only one around at the time of the murder.
Llamar a Crocker para enfrentarse con él.
This Crocker, do you think...
It would be interesting to meet him. Our young friend should be able to find him. Wiggins, could you find a way to bring this Captain Crocker here to us?
Here? Holmes, that could be dangerous.
No problem, Mr. Holmes.
Algún tiempo después.
Mr. Holmes, I was informed that you were looking for me, and I'd like to know why.
Yes, it is important that we talk. You will soon understand why.
Mirada limpia, honesto. Constitución fuerte. Tinta de periódico. Botas limpias. Cuchillo marinero.
You are acquainted with Lady Mary Brackenstall, are you not?
Yes, I think I do remember her. From when I was first officer, but I still don't see...
It seems your relationship went beyond that of mere passenger and first officer.
How dare you?
Indeed, how reckless a feeling is love, particularly if one is prepared to commit a murder in its name.
Explain yourself this instant.
You are aware that the murder made the headlines of the morning press. You read the newspaper report, but to your dismay, found it much fabricated. Once you learned that I wanted to see you, you came straight away. You needed to know what I had found.
You... and what do you know?
That evening, you were with Lady Brackenstall, despite the danger.
I'm not afraid, Mr. Holmes. Besides, all of this is just guesswork.
You would be right if there was no evidence.
What then?
Lady Brackenstall was tied to a chair on the night of the murder. And it was you who tied her up.
You call that evidence?
Yes, as she was tied with a sailor's knot. Your handiwork.
So, it's a sailor who's done it. That proves nothing, Mr. Holmes. I'm not the only sailor in London right now. Your theory is flawed anyway. On the night of the murder, I was aboard the Sharp. I was supervising the repair of a porthole.
At night?
It was an emergency. There was a leak. You can ask the ship's carpenter. He can confirm.
I'm sure that he can.
Perfect. In that case, we have nothing more to talk about. Good evening, gentlemen.
Holmes, what should we do now? Would you like to check his alibi?
No. There is no doubt that these men will testify in his favor, and there will be no way to check.
So, what then?
So, we must work with what we have. We have all the puzzle pieces.
Now I understand why you dissected the bell rope.
Si le doy a que sí. Yo creo que es eso. A ver si queda algo más por investigar. No. Está todo ya. Este es más corto. Yo creo que... sí.
Wiggins, could you ask Mr. Crocker to come here again, please?
Right away.
Why did you make me come here again, Mr. Holmes?
It is over. I know that it was you who killed Sir Eustace Brackenstall.
What?
I know, because of the height at which the rope was cut. The knife used was a sea knife. The knots were sailor's knots, and not least the sheer force that was put behind the killing blow. And because you are the only one who knows Lady Mary Brackenstall in London. And because you love her.
Sí.
It's true.
It is time for you to tell us the whole truth.
I admit that I loved Mary madly from the first day that I met her. But I never did come to visit her, for I believed that she was in a happy household. When I talked to her maid, who told me everything, I was insane with rage. I was due to set sail for 6 months away. I wanted only to see her again. But it turned into a damnable nightmare when he barged in. He dared raise his hand to her. He was not even worthy of licking her boots. Oh, I regret nothing. I admit I killed the monster out of love for her. She will forgive me if she is able.
Lady Brackenstall already forgave you. She said nothing.
Mary.
Oh.
But that makes her an accomplice as well as her maid. It places her in danger yet again.
Mr. Holmes.
You would not have managed to protect her.
Till I die, do you hear me? Here is a letter that sets everything clear. And it is the one that should be disclosed to the police. I am the only culprit. Mary had nothing to do with it. Now it is time to end this.
No. Pero bueno.
Watson.
It's over, Holmes. We can do nothing for him now.
Here is a case that didn't end as I had expected. I know that you have already drafted a summary of the case. You have my permission for its publication, if you so
Hola.
wish.
I'll think about it, Holmes.
No me gusta este final. Quiero cambiarlo.
Holmes! Whatever is going on here?
That is Sir Eustace's killer. He has performed his own brand of justice.
My God! But why did you not call me?
I apologize. Here is his letter of confession.
So much drama.
You have no idea.
No. Quiero repetir eso, lo quiero salvar. No va a ser la misma elección, pero... Sí. Pero, a ver si me puedo saltar todo el...
Right.
Sí, sí me lo puedo saltar, menos mal.
Why did you make me come here again, Mr. Holmes?
It is a... And because...
It
is time.
I admit, I was due to set... Oh, I regret...
Lady Brackenstall.
Mary.
But that makes her an...
Mr.
You would...
Till I do... Now it is time to end this.
Ajá. Toma. Ha.
Please forgive me, Captain Crocker. I wished only to test your sincerity, and your words and deeds have
El suicidio no es una
far
opción. Evita que la
exceeded
señorita
my
White
expectations.
cometa suicidio. Esta
See
no es
here,
la
Captain
señorita
Crocker.
White.
We'll do this in due form of law. You are the prisoner. Watson, you are a British jury. Captain Crocker, the evidence shows that you acted without premeditation and used reasonable force to protect an innocent victim from her husband's brutality. Your devotion pushed you to attempt to kill yourself in order to protect the one you love. Now, what say you, gentlemen of the jury?
Not guilty, my lord.
Vox populi, vox dei. You are acquitted, Captain Crocker. So long as the law does not find some other victim, you are safe from me.
Mr. Holmes.
It is a great responsibility that I take upon myself, but I will give Lestrade an excellent lead, and if he can't avail himself of it, I can do no more. Come back to your lady in a year, and may her future and yours justify us in the judgment which we have pronounced this night. Inspector, I'm afraid that the murderers have escaped us.
What? Do you mean to tell me that you failed? Never thought I'd live to see the day.
I mentioned the murderers, not the case. It is obvious that the crime was committed by 3 criminals who cannot be the Randalls.
You really think so?
You only need to find a gang of 3 thugs wandering around. I can trust you to do that.
If they exist, I'll catch them.
You'll find someone, I have no doubt of it. Goodbye, Inspector.
Ay, y ay. Hombre concienciado, lo sé. Vox Populi Vox Dei termina el caso de Abbey Grange. Una pausa, que tengo que hacer una cosa.
Holmes, for heaven's sake,
Bueno, pues
whatever's going
tengo
on?
12 de los
Hello,
25,
Watson.
que son
You're
24
early.
más
Did you
el
kill all of your
platino,
patients?
así que
What?
a mitad
Holmes,
ya.
where have all these wretched bees come from?
I increased the temperature of the room so as to prevent them from hibernating. I needed to take a sample of honey. It worked, Watson. We will have honey all year round.
Ridiculous and dangerous.
They're domestic bees, Apis mellifera, such industrious workers. Anyway, Watson, I am sorry, but I must leave you. I'm in rather a hurry.
You have a new case?
Yes, but nothing as thrilling as this experiment. A theft of plants at the Royal Botanic Gardens in Kew. I'm helping a minister who's an old friend of mine. You can join me if you like.
Well, I'll admit that I'd far rather accompany you than remain alone here with these workers of yours. Besides, you'll need a helping hand with the flowers you're intending to bring back.
Watson, however did you guess?
For the great Sherlock Holmes to bother with the theft of plants. Come on. Admit that you're planning to spoil your little bees with some rare pollens.
Hombre, alguna
Since when
cabra.
did I become so transparent? Let us go.
Encontrar las plantas robadas. El perro. Siempre hay que hablar con el perro.
Oh dear, Toby. I wasn't aware that you were Watson's new literary agent.
He roto los papeles. Uy, una carta. ¿Y quién es? Confesión de Lady Brackenstall. Querido señor Holmes, al fin he hallado el valor para escribirle una carta. Casi no tengo palabras para expresarle mi gratitud por su amabilidad. En aquel aciago día pensé que mi vida estaba arruinada y al mismo tiempo supe que había una persona en el mundo que me amaba de verdad y a la que yo correspondía. Ambos sabemos cuál es su nombre, es el capitán Jack Crocker. Su amor me ha dado verdaderos motivos para vivir. Aunque no podamos estar juntos, nada de esto podría haber sucedido sin su intervención, señor Holmes. Oh, qué maja. Y de este me he llevado un tenedor. Ahí está. Nos vamos al sitio ese. Q. Parte. Madre mía. Ay.
Well, Holmes, here we are at the Royal Botanic Gardens. There's no doubt that this place is beautiful. But are you really intent on investigating the theft of the plants?
Yes, of course.
Don't touch anything else, is that clear? Just go and get a bucket of fertilizer. And without turning it over this time. Good day to you, gentlemen. How may I help you? If you are here for a visit, please do come back on Sunday.
I am afraid that it cannot wait. My name is Sherlock Holmes, and this is my friend and colleague, Dr. Watson. We are investigating the theft of plants that took place here 5 days ago. A remarkable collection, I believe.
So you're the one in charge, eh?
A small favor for a friend. Now, to whom do I have the pleasure of speaking?
I am Martin Hamish. I am the Deputy Director of Kew Gardens, and that fellow yonder is Albert. He works here.
I am delighted to meet you. What can you tell us about the plants?
They were rare and exceptional plants. We presented them at our last exhibition. We haven't removed the stand yet. It is still in the large glass house. We only learned of their disappearance the evening after the exhibition, and nobody saw anything.
No doors were forced?
No, but I would imagine that for a thief it would be fairly easy to gain entry, for there are no guards here.
Well, if you don't mind, we will take a look. Now, you say that it is in the large glass house.
Yes, the one just behind me. Just a second, since Albert has nothing else to do. Albert, show these gentlemen where the exhibition was held.
How many people work here?
Only myself, but occasionally 2 students, Albert, whom you have met, and Miss White.
Here it is. This is the place where the stolen plants were exhibited.
Thank you. Is there something the matter?
Yes, there is. All right, the plants were valuable and rare, but it seems to me that the tragedy that took place here only 2 days ago has been entirely forgotten already.
What tragedy are you referring to?
The director of Kew Gardens, Mr. Montague Dunn, he died here just 2 days ago.
We're very sorry. We were not aware. The 2 of you were good friends?
He was my father.
Oh dear. Our condolences. We should not be troubling you. Please do excuse us for the intrusion.
You say that he died here, in the large glass house?
Holmes?
Yes, just here, near the door to the Colonial Collection. He suffered a heart attack. Just like that. So suddenly. It was terrible. Excuse me, gentlemen, but I cannot remain here. If you need me, I'll be in the reserve. That's the room next to the front of the large greenhouse.
Of course, we understand.
Do not touch.
The plants were here. All of them were stolen.
Do not touch.
Here is a list of the stolen plants.
10 plants. Howard Watson, quita del medio.
According to Albert, this is where his father, Montague Dunn, was found dead. The traces are thinner in some places. These boot marks are fresh. It appears as though someone was dragging their feet. The footprints reveal that someone staggered here. The door was smashed at shoulder height. This door handle is new. It was recently changed. Soil. It should have come from a flower pot. The soil on the side of this flower shelf is the same as that on the ground. Fragments of a flower pot. It fell down here. This pot was broken fairly recently. A flower pot recently fell down from these shelves and was misplaced. Blood. This sign is broken. Something heavy was dropped upon it. Someone fell violently against this sign, and they were injured in the clash, most likely a head wound. The escutcheon was breached near the handle. The door was forced from the inside of the Colonial Collection Room. The handle was changed afterwards.
I think we need to inspect the Colonial Collection Room.
All the clues around here are quite suspicious. I need my imagination to make sense of it all. This reconstruction reveals a disturbing fact. Montague Dunn damaged the door of the Colonial Collection Room.
He was in a panic, or the door was locked. Was it an accident, or a murder then, I wonder? I think we need to inspect the Colonial Collection Room.
Very strange. Half of the Colonial Collection is absent. The smell is strong. It is a detergent. This broken fragment was the result of a heavy blow. A fragment of marble, most likely chipped from a statue or sculpture. These windows were perfectly cleaned. Part of this greenhouse was emptied and thoroughly cleaned. These plants come from all the territories of the British Empire.
Imagino.
I asked Inspector Lestrade to take Montague Dunn's body to Scotland Yard.
It's ready for autopsy then.
First of all, let us carry out an external examination. No redness, stings, or bruises. There are no suspicious marks upon the chest. Let us finish our external examination so that we can proceed with the autopsy. Nothing suspicious here.
Parece que tiene el dedo gigante.
There is an injury to the skull, most probably caused by the fall in the water lily greenhouse. The vessels and the pupil of the eye appear quite normal. The air from the lungs carries a faint floral aroma. Now, let us examine the internal organs.
A ver si no me van a hacer verlo, ¿verdad? Ah, pues sí.
The liver is enlarged. It would seem that he was suffering from an alcohol addiction. The liver tissue is brown. There are no visible pathological signs. The heart's blood vessels show no pathological signs. The heart tissue shows no visible pathological signs. The lungs are congested and edematous. The tissue on the inferior lobe of the right lung is damaged, most probably caused by toxins from an unknown plant. The stomach tissues show no visible pathological signs. There is a small amount of content. It appears that he breakfasted lightly, only a short while before his death. My suspicions have been substantiated. Montague Dunn, the director of Kew Gardens, died from poisoning. Plant poisoning, to be more exact.
You mean...
Yes, it is murder.
We should inform Lestrade.
Yes, but do remember, Watson, that I discovered the murder. The challenge is mine.
The challenge, Holmes?
We need to locate that deadly plant. Such a perfect murder appeals to me.
Murder of any kind appeals to you. Is that all we need to do?
No. We also have the people working at Kew Gardens. Martin Hamish and the son of the victim, Albert Dunn.
And also Miss White, of whom we spoke with Mr. Hamish. Should we bring them all here for interrogation?
No. A few innocuous questions at Kew will suffice, as well as a discreet delve into their personal affairs. Yes, Watson, it is time now to open the doors.
Even those in the staff building? I suppose that is necessary.
We should also be concerned with the victim himself. After all, we don't know very much about Montague Dunn.
You're enjoying this already, aren't you?
More than a little.
Tenemos archivos que mirar.
This is where I keep my... That is not the one I need.
Estas plazas tienen una toxicidad similar, más o menos variable. Solo las tres primeras son peligrosas para los humanos, en especial la florem diabólica bajo unas condiciones muy concretas. Cuando activa su mecanismo de defensa contra agresiones, disemina esporas letales.
Here it is.
Robo y asesinato. Los asesinos deben de ser los que roban las plantas exóticas de la última exposición. Kew Gardens. Dostoyevsky, Crime and Punishment. Ahora, encontrar la planta que se empleó para matar al señor este, inspeccionar los edificios de personal y recopilar información y averiguar qué mató y encontrar las plantas robadas. Pues habrá que hablar con todos esta gente. Gafas para miopía baratas. Está lleno de mierda. Cuello sucio. Y ropa hecha una mierda. Soltero. Manos de jardinero.
Mr. Hamish, can you explain to us what happened to the colonial collection? It seems somewhat depleted.
But, most likely maintenance work, tidying up.
You're not sure, then? But you're the deputy director.
Well, I am busy. I cannot be everywhere at once.
Ya, bueno.
Albert told us about the tragic death of Mr. Dunn, the late director of Kew Gardens.
Tragic indeed. His heart attack was quite unexpected.
As deputy director, how was your relationship with Montague Dunn?
To be honest with you, Mr. Holmes, it could have been better. You see, every Tuesday he would carry out his inspection of the gardens, but it was solely to make an impression, great pretense that he cared at all. He would give out absurd orders, ignoring anyone else's opinion. He would then disappear for the rest of the week. He was what some might call a man of action. I'd say rather he was overzealous and chaotic. So after all, it was no wonder, perhaps, that he ended up like that, if you take into consideration his kind of lifestyle.
You mentioned that Mr. Dunn led a particular lifestyle.
Well, it's no secret that he enjoyed, celebrating, shall we say. He was a member of the London Smart Set. He was famous for it. That and...
And?
He had an eye for the ladies, to put it mildly, Mr. Holmes.
Tell me, Mr. Hamish, do you grow the more deadly variety of plant here?
You mean insectivorous? Yes, but nothing larger than that.
Thank you, Mr. Hamish. We shall continue our investigation.
Este tío no me gusta. Ese tío no me gusta.
Can I help you, gentlemen?
Sí. Ojos rojos. Lloró hace poco, consumido por la pena. Corte de afeitado. Manos limpias. A ver, señorita White.
Who is Miss Margaret White?
Ah, she is the young lady who studies with me. She visits here sometimes to help out with the greenhouses. In fact, she should be here today. She wanted to work at the seed house. That's the small greenhouse across from the large glass house.
Do you work here?
Yes, but part-time only, for I'm also studying botany at the University of London.
You're following in your father's footsteps, then. That is commendable.
Well, even if botany is not my strongest suit, there are people who say that I could be a good manager.
We noticed that a part of the colonial collection has been cleared.
Ah. At the moment, I'm just dealing with the storage room. I don't know much about the other rooms.
I imagine that your relationship with your father may have been a strained one.
Yes. I cannot say that he was a kind man, for he never listened to me at all. He forced me to work here. But now, after his death, I've been pondering it over. Perhaps he wasn't so wrong about me after all. I have to follow his path, and I have to manage Kew Gardens. And I can do it. I can be as good as any other who works here.
Would you please tell us about Martin Hamish, the Deputy Director?
Well, I have to tell you that Mr. Hamish is not and has never been the Deputy Director of Kew Gardens. My father would not have tolerated it.
Indeed? That is most interesting. He told us that he was.
Yes, because he believes that the management should be passed down to him now that my father is dead. But in actual fact, Mr. Hamish only has the honour of being the garden's longest-serving employee. In fact, if we are to think logically at all, it should be me who takes over the management of Kew Gardens.
Do you not have a good relationship with Mr. Hamish?
No.
I suppose so. But we have very little in common. Mr. Hamish loves his plants and Kew Gardens, and I cannot say that I share his passion.
I see. And how was his relationship with your father?
Oh, he hated my father. It was obvious. He would be furious whenever my father boasted of Kew Gardens in the newspapers or at conferences. He was convinced that my father was stealing all of the credit for himself. But my father treated Mr. Hamish in the same way as he treated anyone. Dismissively. With indifference.
Thank you, young man. We shall see you again soon.
No sé.
Palm House. A task list for Albert, compiled by Martin Hamish. Sweep out the palm house, scrub the toilets, clean the storage shed tools.
Ya está el vecino con la música más alta. Ojo, eso no me lo puedo pensar. Me cago en ti, pesado es.
According to this, they have light and moisture control in some parts of the building. According to this, they have light and moisture control in some parts of the building.
Ya que he vuelto aquí. ¿Y por aquí a dónde voy?
Dry tropics. According to this, they have light and moisture control in some parts of the building. These flower pots are beautiful. They are intended to be used for exhibition purposes. The symbol is not from Kew Gardens. Dry tropics.
Y estoy aquí de vuelta.
There is a smell of burning.
Una hoguerita. Maceta rota.
The symbol is not from Kew Gardens. A protective mask. Someone set it alight, but it did not burn. A door handle? Why would anyone throw such a thing in the fire? The door handle to the Colonial Collection and that of the fireplace are made of the same material.
Escoba.
A broom handle was half burned. The plants were set alight fairly recently. Some have not completely burned. The remains of a picture frame.
Madre mía, qué cosas hay ahí.
Look, Holmes. This charming lady must be Miss White. She's entering the seed house.
Vale, pero yo no he terminado de explorar por aquí.
A water tank. A ventilation system. It should regulate the temperature of the staff buildings. Colonial Collection. Water lily greenhouse. Harm house. Director's office, cloakroom and laboratory. Nursery. Seed house. Ventilation system.
Claro, entra por aquí, he ido por aquí, por aquí, por aquí, he salido por aquí y estoy aquí delante.
Dry tropics.
Ah, claro, se lo pone ahí, you are here. ¿Qué me falta que examinar aquí?
A map of Kew Gardens. Reserve.
Ya.
Seed house. Open.
Open. Como si fuera magia. Igual. Yo primero investigo todo.
From here, we are unable to see the interior of the Colonial Collection room. This is one of the outlets of the ventilation system. Materials for college study. They belong to Albert. These leather gloves are new and of good quality. They do not appear to have been used. This place serves as Albert's office. A book about ships. Nothing at all to do with plants.
Good day to you, miss. You have some very beautiful plants here.
Why, thank you, sir. And good day to you, too. But...
Oh, I do beg your pardon. My name is Dr. John Watson. This is my good friend, Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
I am honored to make your acquaintance, gentlemen. My name is Margaret White. Excuse me, but are you Sherlock Holmes, the great detective?
Yes, I am.
Yes, I am he.
What a pleasure to see you here at Kew Gardens. Are you working on a case?
Perfume caro. Uy, las manos. Señales rosadas, malnutrición en el pesado, pelagra, familia humilde. Pero, ¿dónde está el siguiente checkpoint? Coño. No entiendo. ¿Se para por aquí? Es que tiene que haber algo por aquí. Aparte del perfume. Ah, ahí. Soltera.
Yes, a theft of plants that took place here a few days ago after their most recent exhibition.
Oh, yes, of course. I quite forgot about that.
Oh, it's quite understandable that you might forget about the theft of the plants, miss, after the tragedy that took place here.
Yes. The director was a truly good man. It is such a terrible misfortune.
A ver.
Would you happen to know why part of the colonial collection was cleared?
No, I have never been there.
Do you work here?
Part-time only. I am a biology student at the London University. I attend the same classes as the son of Mr. Montague Dunn. That is how I found my chance to work here for part of my thesis, you see. It is a great honor.
How well did you know Mr. Montague Dunn?
He was a master, a great leader. I saw him almost as a spiritual father.
He had an exceptional nature?
Oh yes, indeed. He was always so active and so optimistic and very nice to me. Although he could behave harshly towards his son.
Why so?
He loved his son dearly and wanted the very best for him. It made him extremely demanding. Albert, who is naturally shy, suffered because of it.
Most of the doors in Kew Gardens are locked. Do you have a key to this room?
Oh, yes. Albert gave me a set of duplicate keys. He agreed I might carry out my studies without disturbing him. It is only temporary.
Thank you, miss. None of the 3 people who work at Kew Gardens know why half of the colonial collection was cleared. So, someone is lying. It is obvious.
No me digas. ¿En serio que alguien miente? No me había dado cuenta.
Oh dear, Toby. I wasn't aware that you were Watson's new literary agent. That is not the one I need. That is not the one. That is not the one I need. That is.
No tengo ni idea dónde tengo que darle.
That is not the one I need.
Tecnología, ¿no?
That is not the one I need. That is not the one I need. That is not the one I need. That is not the one I. That is not the one I need.
Yo qué sé.
That is not the one I need. That is not. That is not the one I need. That is not the one I need. That is not the one I need.
Periódicos nada.
That is not the one I need.
Aquí el divino gremio académico para la veneración vegetal y la imitación. Los miembros del gremio adoran a Treguán, el rey Dios. Las donaciones son generosas, buscan la pureza espiritual, liberarse del materialismo.
The Divine Syndicate is not a supplier to Kew Gardens. Besides, there is no address here. That is not the one I need.
El jardín de Seymour, equipamiento y suministros para jardines. Somos proveedores de primera línea para sus necesidades en paisajismo, jardinería o madera, amplia gama de arena, tierras, abonos, macetas y tal. Número 3 de Burton Road.
Here it is.
I don't know what I have to do. Encontrar la planta que se emplea, inspeccionar los edificios del personal. Ahí me falta algo todavía, entonces. De los edificios que hay por aquí. Me faltaba un edificio.
Locked. Locked.
Quita Watson.
Nursery.
Aquí no había entrado.
Locked.
Oval.
Locked. nursery. Seed house. Seed house.
Divino
The
grande.
Divine Syndicate. Does that name mean anything to you, by any chance?
Not at all. But it is a very pretty name.
Thank you, miss.
Ve. Ah, no, sí, lo de la ventana. A ver.
Mr. Hamish, can you tell us who holds the keys to the locked greenhouses?
That would be Albert, Mr. Dunn's son. Yes, Albert keeps all the keys, and one can only imagine why.
What do you mean?
Well, he was never interested in Kew Gardens before. And now, all of a sudden, he is trying to act as if he owns the place. I think he wants to take over the management here. He'd do better to leave that to me. He has no experience. No, none at all.
No me cae bien este.
What is your opinion of Albert as a student of botany?
He's useless. I often tell him so, and I can only give him cleaning tasks. Botany is not his life's work, and his father well knew it. He was furious about it.
He was?
Oh, yes. He forced his son to work here, and he never missed an opportunity to criticize him publicly.
Are you able to elaborate on that?
Well, for example, with our last exhibition here, Mr. Dunn had Albert make a presentation speech. But then, while the lad was speaking, Mr. Dunn interrupted him, asking him difficult questions, making him look like a failure. It was with the intention of making a fool of him, Mr. Holmes.
That must have been terribly humiliating.
Yes, he was crushed, and he had to leave. Everybody was making fun of poor Albert. That is, except for Miss Margaret White, who is such a nice lady and who always takes pity on Albert.
You mentioned a Miss White. Would you tell us more about her?
She is a student who works here part-time. She is quite charming indeed. She possesses a great talent for botany. You should take a look at some of her experiments that she carried out in the laboratory. Ah, if only she were not so naive.
Why naive?
The way she used to flutter around Mr. Montague Dunn. And why, he couldn't help but be flattered by all her attention. How could an intelligent woman such as Miss White not see through his game? I can only scratch my head and wonder.
Are you aware of the Divine Syndicate?
The Divine what? Is this a joke?
No, I am quite serious.
What a ridiculous name. Anyway, I have never heard of this syndicate.
Thank you, Mr. Hamish. We shall continue our investigation. Tell me, have you ever heard of the Divine Syndicate?
No, I cannot say that I have.
Do you hold the keys to all of these locked doors?
Yes, you can have them. But I cannot give you the keys to the cloakroom. The employees' effects are private. I am sure you understand.
Thank you, young man. We shall see you again soon.
¿Qué tengo que hacer aquí? No sé qué tengo que hacer ahí. Todo para aquí.
Newspapers discussing Kew Gardens.
El personal de los Kew Gardens se complace de anunciar una nueva variedad de cebada que resiste por completo al frío. Le han dado el nombre de cebada siberiana. El señor Martin Hamish, orgulloso creador de la variedad, dará una conferencia de prensa sobre el tema el próximo martes. Mi queridísima Margaret, teniendo en cuenta nuestra última conversación, creo que sería mejor que dejaras tu puesto en los Kew Gardens. Como afirmaste de modo tan brusco, ya no necesitas mi apoyo. Parafraseándote, eres más que capaz de moverse sola por este momento. Devuelvo, en fin, tu libertad y no te deseo más que la mejor de las suertes.
Champagne. Montague Dunn had good taste. French wine. A remarkable vintage. A photograph of Montague Dunn and Reynold Hamish.
What should we do next, Holmes?
No sé cómo se abre eso.
Locked.
Mesa de laboratorio. Huella de una botella.
There was a bottle here. It left behind a trace of the substance that pervaded the laboratory.
Gold dust? Good heavens. What's it doing here?
The gold is almost immune to chemical attacks, so it may be a valuable auxiliary for various experiments.
But why would anyone perform such experiments in a botanical garden?
Several drops of the substance were spilled. Someone carried this bottle around. Several drops of the substance were spilled. Someone carried this bottle around. The bottle is no longer here, but it is possible to detect a faint scent. We need a good nose.
Necesitamos a Perrete.
A botany book. This student's book belongs to Albert. Chemicals, a sufficient quantity for some serious experiments.
A phonograph used for voice recording. Remarkable.
Yes, this is quite a modern laboratory. I don't hear anything. I don't hear anything.
And it seems clear from these multiple experiments that plants to respond to their environment and have a form of consciousness. Margaret White, February 1895. Report number 245.
Study report.
Martin Hamish's perception of plants. The notion of communication in the plant world has long been considered marginal, yet I remain convinced that some plants do indeed transmit chemical signals in the event of attack.
A study report by Martin Hamish. This is a table for experiments. It resembles my own.
Only this one is kept in good order, Holmes.
Such masks are generally worn when dealing with toxic chemicals. Gloves, waterproof aprons, everything one might need for self-protection.
Do they grow dangerous plants here? Yeah?
It appears as though the protective equipment is missing from here. Locked.
Holmes, Albert Dunn didn't give us the key to this door.
It does not matter. We will open it.
Oh. No, de algunos puzzles estos los odio, no me gustan nada. Pero no le voy a saltar. A ver. A ver si encuentro algo hecho, porque me voy a volver loquita. Ah, vale. Lo tengo aquí encontrado. Pasar por este lado. Esto lo tiene aquí. Esta. Esa. A ver. Está como por encima. Esto va así. Vale. Esta placa así. La de abajo así. Esta. Joder. No tiene puesta. ¿Así? No. Tiene un oído aquí. Vale. Es ahí. Es ahí. Me queda una de estas, yo creo. Esta verilla. Esta. Vale. Eso va así. Ahí. Joder.
Open.
¡Calla!
The employee's cloakroom. Martin Hamish's locker. Father and I. Kew Gardens. A review on rare and exotic plants. Martin Hamish has written several pieces. Martin Hamish studied chemistry. Interesting.
Señor Secretario General, los recientes acontecimientos que han tenido lugar en los que me ponen en la situación de volver a solicitar el puesto de director, tal y como afirmaba en mis anteriores misivas, creo que no hay nadie más apropiado para el puesto. Mientras el señor Montaedune vivía, comprendí que fuera gracias a mis sugerencias. Tenía usted motivos políticos y yo me plegué a ellos solícito. Ahora los Kew Gardens se hallan en una situación de desgobierno. ¿Cómo voy a permitirlo? ¿Cómo voy a dejarlos en manos de agentes sin experiencia, sin motivación? Debo urgirle a que tome la decisión con premura, para que pueda dedicarme plenamente a la noble tarea que me espera libre ya de esta incertidumbre.
Albert's locker. A picture of Miss White and Albert in front of the University of London.
And they seem to get along.
Specialist articles on shipyards and ship
Me gustan los
construction.
barcos.
Albert Dunn has a great passion for shipbuilding and the sea.
Carta de rechazo.
A rejection letter from the British Royal Naval College.
Escuela de sus oficiales. Antes de informarle que a pesar de sus excelentes resultados en nuestras pruebas de inglés, no podemos darle. Su padre ha expresado su intención de no el edicto de los reales jardines botánicos, que parece claro que no tendrá intención de liberar a los exploradores durante el año completo que requiere el entrenamiento naval. Por favor, desde nuestros mejores deseos para el futuro de los hogares. Reciba un cordial saludo, director del centro de entrenamiento de la Marina. Hola, Kai. Te he dicho que no viene nadie.
Miss White's
Sube para
locker.
ahí. Que no viene nadie, cállate. Hala, sube. ¡Ay! De verdad. ¿Qué lloras? ¿Qué dices? No, dale besitos al micro. Así. Muy bien, hijo, muy bien. Que no viene nadie. Que el timbre no era el cartero.
These jewels must be worth a small fortune. A vanity purse. It is of high quality.
Carta. Margaret, nos sorprende que hayas escrito. ¿Cómo es posible que hayas pensado en pedirnos dinero después de todos los años que han pasado desde que te marchaste, en los que no hemos sabido nada de ti? Nunca has compartido con nosotros ni un detalle sobre tu progreso en la universidad. ¿Y lo haces ahora? Solo podemos suponer que te avergüenzas de nosotros porque no perteneces a la clase de tus nuevas amistades. Sí, somos gente modesta, pero deberíamos aprender que la familia es lo primero. Como siempre ha sido en casa y ninguno de nosotros ha puesto nunca en peligro su reputación. Como parece que has hecho tú con tu patrono, el señor Dune. No, Margaret. ¿Eres tú la que nos avergüenzas? Tus padres. Hostia. Otra carta. Querida Margaret. Sé que los problemas económicos se te han hecho muy pesados. Por favor, déjame asegurarte que no puedo permitir que te encuentres en esta situación. Nací en una familia pudiente y lo considero un honor si aceptas mi ayuda. Tu otro servidor, Albert.
Apparently, Miss White is a capable student.
Otra carta.
A
Petición de
draft
White.
of the letter that Miss White sent to her parents.
Esto está... ¿Esto cómo es? A ver. A ver. Es que no, este ni siquiera te explica qué hay que hacer. Hola. ¿Qué turra lleva dada? ¿Qué turra? Ah, pues yo qué sé, estoy haciendo cosas para aquí. Ah, espera. Ay. Mi estimado amigo, por favor, permíteme expresar mi decepción. Tras haber leído tu última carta, estoy pagándole para que me defienda, no para que me acuse. Los Kew Gardens son una institución real. Se nos ha concedido la gran oportunidad de viajar por el mundo y salvar las especies vegetales más extraordinarias, valiosas y raras. Es nuestro deber protegerlas de aquellos que quieran emplearlas con dudosos propósitos. Este divino gremio del que me habla no tiene ningún derecho de retener tan preciadas plantas. Recuerde el caso del 14 de junio del 89. Debo pues solicitarle de nuevo que certifique los permisos a favor de Kew Gardens. Los documentos se le enviaron el lunes. Le veo en Bladdels el martes, como siempre. Carta de resignación. Señor Dune, le solicitamos por última vez que libere a nuestras hermanas. No tiene ningún derecho a mantenerlas prisioneras, no le pertenecen. Lo que usted llama permisos son del todo falsos. Se escuda usted en mentiras, como la que fue publicada en la prensa, como el caso del 14 de junio del 89. Huelga mencionarla. Lo que ha hecho es abominable. Tenga por seguro que no abandonaremos nunca a miembro alguno de nuestra familia. Confiamos en usted y nos arrepentimos de haberlo hecho. Joder.
I suggest that we don't tell Miss Margaret White about this document.
Reconocimiento de deuda de la señorita Margaret a favor del señor Moore. Arrendamiento de unas habitaciones en Oxford Street. Beca para la Universidad de Londres. Líneas de crédito abiertas en Hamilton, las estrellas Rading House y la joyería Birds & Sons. ¡Ja! ¿Qué me falta?
I perceive that you are passionate about the Royal Navy.
Passionate? No, not really. I like ships, that is all.
Are you quite sure? You do not seem to be so interested in plants.
It's difficult, that's all. My future is here. It has never been about anything else.
Ah.
I perceive that you are passionate about the Royal Navy.
Passion?
Are you?
It's difficult, that's all. My future is here. It has never been about anything else.
Joder. Señorito.
It's difficult, that's all. My future is here. It has never been about anything else.
And yet I know that the Royal Naval College rejected your application.
Ah, you truly are as clever as they say. Yes, that's correct. And in fact, my father was strongly against the idea. He did his best to ruin my plans, although I almost did succeed. But my dreams were shattered, Mr. Holmes.
Thank you, young man. We shall see you again soon.
Yo me toca que saltar un poquillo, creo. Quita. Quita. Tengo que buscar una estatua para aquí. ¿Qué es lo que me falta, yo creo? Seguro que pasa por delante 40 veces. Aquí no hay estatuas. Aquí no hay estatuas y se entra por esta puerta. ¿Hay estatuas aquí? No. Se puede ir por aquí. Ay, coño. Aquí no hay estatuas. Y ahí tampoco. Ah, es que creo que me falta un edificio. Ahora que lo pienso. Sí, creo que me falta un edificio. Claro, yo entraba a este y eso. Pero esa puerta de ahí no he entrado. Creo. A ver. Falta un edificio.
The seeds of plant species are stored here.
Joder, macho, el Watson todo el rato en el medio. Quita del medio. Anda. Me faltaba algo. Mr. Dune.
It is a bust of Montague Dunn.
Mira.
I am curious if the marble that we found will fit this place. Here it is. The marble fragment that we found in the Colonial Collection Room is what they have in common. These young plants must be delicate if they are kept in the nursery. A thesis written by Martin Hamish. A glasses case. It is empty. This area serves as Martin Hamish's office.
Ay.
This poster is for an exhibition that Martin Hamish was directing, but it had nothing to do with Kew Gardens. This certificate belongs to Martin Hamish. He won a horticultural competition. We can see the interior of the Colonial Collection Room from this window. An award presented to Martin Hamish for Best Grower of the Year. A master's degree diploma. It belongs to Martin Hamish. Locked. Mr. Hamish, was someone from your family connected with Kew Gardens?
Family? No. I'm the only one with a passion for botany.
I do not think so. This photograph of you and your father at Kew Gardens suggests the opposite.
But you have no right to.
Do tell us more about your father.
He was, indeed, the greatest botanist of his time in the British Empire. He worked together with Montague Dunn until the end of his life. He brought me in at the age of 12.
Did he get on well with Mr. Dunn?
No, I couldn't say that. They expanded Kew Gardens together, that was all. And it was all my father's work, for Dunn always lived the high life.
So Mr. Dunn was not helping your father?
Oh, yes, he provided the financial support. And as far as he was concerned, that fulfilled his role. But the worst of it was, he declared himself as the master of Kew Gardens. Fame meant nothing to my father. So it was easy for Mr. Dunn to take all the credit.
There is a bust of Montague Dunn in the nursery.
A bust? Oh, that old thing. Further proof of that outrageous ego of his.
But why in that room in particular?
Oh, I don't know. It has always been there.
It is strange, because I recovered a fragment of the bust inside the Colonial Collection Room.
Really? Oh, well, so I am mistaken. It ought to have been removed during the cleanup. This room is so small.
Do you know who moved it?
I have no idea. Surely Mr. Dunn requested it. Do you have any more questions like this? Because fragments of rock are not my responsibility.
Evidently.
Qué imbécil.
Thank you, Mr. Hamish. We shall continue our investigation.
A ver. El club llamado el Divino Gremio, donde se reúnen los adoradores del rey dios Trowan, protector de las plantas y los árboles en particular, situado en el número 48 de Gros Vernon, en la carretera de Son presuntos evasores y puede que la investigación acabe en cargos judiciales, mientras son muchas voces que se alzan en contra de estas medidas, denunciando el Estado. De hecho, esta organización privada, con el objeto de defender la naturaleza y de la que son miembros influyentes figuras del país, incluyendo políticos destacados.
Here it is. And here is the Divine Syndicate's address. Perfect. It is time to find out what they have against Montague Dunn.
This place is beautiful, Holmes. Its atmosphere is remarkably soothing.
Let us find someone who could help us.
Hora de cortar.